You're watching a More Beautiful World podcast with Susan Renee, a channel for those of you with open minds and courageous hearts who are looking for guidance on your trauma healing and personal transformation journeys. Here, I share with you the powers of intentional plant medicine use, along with other holistic therapies and spiritual guidance to guide you on your path forward. I'm so eager to share with you what I've learned in working with these sacred plant medicines on my own journey, including the knowing that what we do to heal ourselves, we do to heal the whole collective. Join me as I share my experiences, knowledge, and wisdom to guide your trauma healing so you can transform your life, and so that together we can create the more beautiful world we all know is possible. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of A More Beautiful World. And in this episode, I'm going to share with you my integration experience with the oldest known psychedelic plant medicine known as Huachuma. In part 1 of this series, I shared all about the benefits and history of Huachuma and why I was specifically called to this medicine. And in part 2, I covered my personal experiences throughout the week-long retreat with Huachuma. And now in this final part 3 of this 3-part series, I'm going to share with you all of the lessons and the blessings that came in during my integration process in the weeks and the months after my retreat experience. So if you are ready to learn how the integration of a plant medicine journey unfolds, or even just understand the blessings and the lessons that can come in from a plant medicine retreat with Huachuma, then this episode is for you. First off, as with my last 2 episodes in this series, I am dedicating this episode and this series to my dear brother Parker, who recently left his human body and transitioned to the other side. Were it not for Parker, this episode and my experience with Huachuma would not be possible. So, dear brother Parker, these episodes are for you. And as Parker taught me so well, and a saying that is reflected with Huachuma, para el bien de todos, for the good of all. And a quick disclaimer, I am only here to share my experience with this medicine. And before we dive in too deep here today, I want to make the disclaimer that I don't assume any liability for the application of the information contained in this podcast. I am presenting this information solely to further the quest for a fuller understanding of the human experience and how I believe we can use these medicines to make this a more beautiful world for us all. With that, I am not recommending you go out and use this medicine without deep thought, some deep prayer, and deep consideration, ensuring that it is in alignment with where you are at on your journey. And remember, what we do for one, we do for us all. And it is always my intention in sharing these experiences that the medicine I received, and the downloads and the messages that I got on my journey reach you in divine timing and really help to guide you on your own journey, just as they have done for me. As I mentioned in the previous 2 episodes, one of the main benefits of a ceremony with Huachuma, and really any of our beautiful psychedelic plant medicines, is to find clarity. And I'm so grateful to say the clarity I was seeking was found during my integration process of the Huachuma retreat experience. Overall, I will say this retreat was a very different experience than my previous plant medicine retreats. It was certainly more gentle, it was more loving, and in a lot of ways more subtle. The experiences I had during retreat mostly planted some seeds for my clarity to be found. And while some answers did come in during the week-long retreat and in the days, we were doing ceremony with the medicine, a lot of the guidance and clarity I was looking for really unfolded in the days and the weeks and the months to come. I always wait to share my plant medicine journeys with you because I want to wait for the integration process to really happen and be a part of the series of episodes. It is said that when doing plant medicine work, about 10 to 20% of your healing, of the clarity, that happens in the ceremony itself. But the other 80, 90% of the clarity of the healing that we're looking for comes from the integration process, right? And taking the lessons and the expanded awareness that we get during these plant medicine retreats and experiences and ceremonies, and how do we then integrate it into our lives, right? How do we take these messages from the divine, these experiences, and then start to incorporate them into our day-to-day experience? So I have found, it's definitely true in my experiences that a lot of the real medicine does come in during the integration process. And I absolutely felt that with this Huachuma retreat as well. So in today's episode, I'm going to kind of share with you, what unfolded, in the days, in the weeks, in the months after ceremony. And I do hope you listened to part 1 and part 2 of the series to kind of get you up to speed as to what my experience was like, what benefits, you can get from Huachuma, because I do feel that will help you understand what unfolded in my integration process and probably help you incorporate some of this medicine into your own journey as well. So, to get started in this episode today, I really want to share a little bit more of what was happening in my personal life, some more practical things. And as I go through, I'm going to get into some more expanded awareness and just more overall themes and blessings that came in during the integration process. So, to start off, during retreat, I was in prior to retreat, I was in a really difficult situation. I was living in Arkansas with an ex. I had broken up with him about 2 months prior to retreat, but we were still cohabitating in Arkansas in the house that we had rented. And during retreat, I really realized, through some conversations I had with people there, through my own experience when I was in the medicine, I realized I needed to leave my current living situation, with my ex. And again, even though we had already broken up and we're still living together, I realized that I was doing more harm than good in staying in that relationship. And I was giving him a lot of false hope that there was a future when I knew in my heart after retreat, I'd received a lot of clarity on the decision. I did not want to be with him and that I needed to leave. I needed to leave the living situation. So I got that kind of during the retreat week, but the additional clarity from that relationship and why I had chosen that relationship and why I had gone through the whole experience, really came just a few weeks after ceremony. And it was a really big realization on my journey, which I want to kick off and sharing with you today. So after my retreat, I stayed down in Texas for an additional week and was kind of moving through the integration process. And then after I left there, I went to Dominican Republic to spend some time with a friend. And it was on my way to Dominican, as I'm still very deep in my integration process of this medicine, I realized when it came to this relationship, I had only loved my partner because he loved me so fiercely. And it was sad because he didn't love himself anywhere near as much as how much he loved me. But what came from that and what I understood during this integration is that he had taught me how to love myself. and how to love myself more deeply and the fierceness of love that he had for me, I was able to see and understand my own worth, my own value, and cultivate deeper levels of love for myself during the time we were in relationship. And to be honest, I feel like that may be the greatest gift that anyone has ever given me. I also saw and got clarity on how he was such a good mirror for me because he did help me to see where I still needed healing, and especially around trauma. He triggered a lot of traumas for me. I had a lot of PTSD in that relationship. And so it really was this beautiful mirror for me to understand, again, where I still had healing work to do. And that really also helped to guide my decisions moving forward, through the summer, because I sat with the medicine in April of 2022. And so seeing these blessings and these lessons from this relationship, and realizing I had to leave, seeing the blessings that the relationship brought me, all of that set me up to guide me forward on my journey. And really throughout the summer, it not only helped guide my decisions in doing some deeper levels of healing work for myself, and starting to work with psilocybin again, to move through some of the trauma and to do some rewiring of some of the PTSD I was experiencing. It also guided me to start incorporating plant medicines into my practice with clients as well. Because in working in the anxiety and trauma space, it offers immense healing. So while that was, kind of a bomb and it was a huge change in life, the main decision I had, that I had made to leave kicked off a tremendous amount of upheaval in my life, because I did end my lease early. I was living in Arkansas at the time with my ex. I had just moved there 4 months prior, and I headed to Denver to stay with my mom. And it felt like I was going through this huge death cycle, almost an identity crisis. I honestly wasn't quite sure who I was or where I belonged. And that was super challenging. But again, throughout this, so much clarity was coming in. And I think giving myself some space and a new environment to do some deeper levels of healing, to integrate this medicine, was truly divine timing. Even though it felt really difficult, I do know now, looking back in hindsight, of my integration process, it has served me so well. So I leave the relationship. I realized the relationship's not for me. I realized cohabitating with the ex was not a good idea. And very soon after I arrived in Denver, I was talking to Parker on the phone, my dear brother that I had connected with so deeply during Huachuma retreat. And we were on the phone just talking through my experience because, again, I felt like I was in this huge death process. I was really having an identity crisis. And if you want to know more about what I was going through during that time, I have an episode on a dark night of the soul, because that's what it was. That's what I was moving through. So check out that episode. That might relate to you if you're going through some big changes in your life. But so I'm going through this dark night of the soul. I'm going through this huge death process, this like identity crisis. And I'm in Denver and I connect with Parker and we decide to get on the phone together. And I'm sharing with him some of the difficulties and the things that, had been coming up. Now, if you remember from the previous episode where I shared about my experience, with the medicine during the week-long retreat, Parker and I had this really beautiful, gorgeous moment where we were out in the sacred grove and we were watching this butterfly kind of dance between us. And there was just this beauty of presence and just awe and just feeling so connected. And so when Parker and I were on the phone, as I was in Denver, he shared with me the transformation process of the butterfly, and it really captured what I was going through. And he shared how the caterpillar, right, goes and it eats and it collects and it gets to a point where then it goes into the chrysalis, right, for its ultimate transformation. And the caterpillar to the butterfly really is this death and rebirth process. And what Parker reflected to me that was so helpful is that if we want transformation, right, if we want healing, there is a death and rebirth process that happens. And with the caterpillar transforming into the butterfly, when that caterpillar goes into the chrysalis, it actually dissolves in its own enzymes and becomes caterpillar goo. It completely dies as the caterpillar in order to transform into the butterfly. And that really helped me to see that all of this transformation, all of this healing I had been praying for was in process. It didn't mean that it was comfortable. It was actually quite uncomfortable. Though again, what I saw in that analogy that he shared was in that moment when I was in this dark night of the soul, I was the caterpillar dissolving in its own enzymes. So that is really uncomfortable, right? Being caterpillar goo is uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good. And it has to happen in order to transform into the butterfly. And you cannot rush the process because you don't want to emerge from your chrysalis with a half-formed wing. You want to be able to be fully formed and beautiful and be able to fly. So that was a beautiful kind of connection from the experience we had in retreat to what Parker had shared with me, about the transformation of the caterpillar to the butterfly and why I was feeling this dark night of the soul and why I was going through this big death and rebirth process. And luckily, since then, I do feel I've started to form more into the butterfly. I feel a lot less like caterpillar goo. And though I'm not sure if I've fully emerged yet, I might still be in some final steps of my transformation for this big shift in my life. Though I do feel so blessed to be where I am. And it has been during this chrysalis process that I have been moving through integration of the Huachuma plant medicine. And there have been so many other lessons and blessings that have come in during these last 6 months. So I have compiled them for you, and I want to share them and really expand upon them because, again, I believe this is the medicine I received, for my own journey, though I do feel I get called to share. So hopefully it can become your medicine and also help to guide you on your journey too. So the biggest clarity I would say that I received in my integration process is that I need to open to receive. In an excerpt from my journal, I put, I am deserving and I need to open to receive what I deserve. And I had a moment at the Mesa one night in ceremony where I fell down and my heart just cracked wide open. And I could feel other people giving me love and support, and it was uncomfortable. And that experience kicked off an integration, this big clarity on how much I had been shutting myself off from receiving in many aspects. Receiving in love, receiving in friendship, receiving in business, receiving in prosperity, receiving in experience. And it was, again, the biggest point of clarity because I am, which I believe a lot of you out there are, I am a giver and I love, love, love to give. But to keep that in balance, right? To be able to give, we must have a full cup. We must be open to receiving. So we are in balance of giving and receiving. And I saw and now see so clearly how I had shut myself off to receiving based on the trauma I had been through, based on not trusting. And so I want to read a quick excerpt from my journal about this because I think it's important. So I wrote, I am so worthy of love and can accept myself fully exactly where I am right now. I am safe to do what is necessary to satisfy my own needs and to walk my spiritual path. I can let go of the suffering of what no longer serves me. I can both accept where I'm at right now and strive for more. I have desires and I want to satisfy them. I need to be open to receive to satisfy them. I know I am loved by the universe and I am being taken care of always. I have unshakable trust that I am receiving everything I desire and I am open to receiving everything that I desire. It is all coming to me in divine timing. It is always safe to operate out of love because I am worthy and deserving of receiving all the love, the support, and the stability that I desire. So again, all of that, it sounds super simple, right? But ask yourself, are you doing a good job of receiving? Are you an overgiver? Or maybe you're imbalanced on the other side. Maybe you need to give more. But ultimately, what kind of came in is I saw in integration in these last few months how I really need to do better with communicating my needs so I can receive what I need and what I desire. I need to be able to ask for help, right? And in being open to receive, what really came in is I need to find a community and connect with other people where that feels safe and possible as well. Because feeling safe, does allow us to feel like we can stand up for what we need and be able to ask for help and be able to communicate our needs. So, what I realized in all of this too is in opening to receive, and in receiving things, I don't have to sacrifice anything either. We can truly have it all. And so that was a big thing as well, because sometimes I have felt that if I'm receiving, that means it inhibits my ability to give. And that's very backwards, because the more we can receive, the more we can actually give. So that was a huge, huge, huge lesson from my retreat experience and what really has unfolded in integration. If you want to know more about ways to open up to receive, I made a whole podcast episode on that because of this integration process and what I had experienced. So that was probably my biggest point of clarity and something I'm still working on. Like, I have very expanded awareness on this need to open to receive, and I am working on it. And it has been going quite well. I feel like I have been doing a lot more receiving lately, which feels really good. But kind of in tandem with that is the need for tribe. And this takes me to my next biggest clarity that I've had during the integration process. And again, some of this came in during retreat as well, but it is so important for us to be connected with like minds and like hearts. And we need connection. We are tribal beings. And it is so important for us to not only understand how connected we all are, but how we need those connections with each other to thrive in life. And I think that is a big foundation for this being open to receive as well. So, another quick excerpt from my journal about the importance of tribe. I love being with like-hearted kinsmen. There felt like such peace and joy in my heart to feel like I could just let my hair down and be all of me this last week. I felt safe to speak my mind. I felt safe to be held and nourished. I felt safe and open to receive love and support. I need to be surrounded by tribe, conscious tribe, that vibe high just like me and need the same things that I do. It felt so good to be all of me unapologetically and to feel so easy in doing so. I also loved how it felt so good to be in nature too, and to be in nature with my tribe. To just be in nature and be myself and feel so connected to my tribe. It was absolutely amazing. I am filled with appreciation, bliss, and gratitude for this experience, for Pachamama, and for my new tribe. So again, when I was there in retreat, I would have morning chats with my brothers and sisters who were there. And really, I was connecting into this concept of eros, and finding the intimacy in each connection, because we all are connected and there's so much we can learn from each other. And there's so much we can give and receive from each other. And in this, retreat experience, and honestly, in all my retreat experiences, there is this deep connection to everyone that you feel. And you can feel into our interconnection and just how much love there is in this world. And so I knew how important that was going to be going forward in my life. I have been pretty isolated, prior to this retreat. I've always had a good set of friends, but I'm pretty good at isolating myself, and spending time alone, which does have some benefits, but we need connection. We need to understand our interconnection and have this tribe. And so, connecting to all of these beautiful brothers and sisters so deeply, so intimately, having morning chats with them, doing ceremony with them, having meals with them, that is part of my vision for my future. And I just have realized how important it is for us to be with like-minded, like-hearted people, to nourish those connections, to lean into them, and to cherish them fully. So that was probably another huge part of my integration process. But another big theme that came up was unshakable trust. And during retreat and in integration, I have tapped into so much unshakable trust. I've really had to, over this last year, let go of my old self, let go of old patterns, let go of old ways of being, so the new self can be born and the new self can rise. Again, think back into that transformation of the caterpillar to the butterfly, right? There is so much trust we have to have in the universe to allow that to happen. I did a lot of work this year on letting go of the fear of death, and not just death of my physical body, but death of old self. Because there is a grieving process that happens when parts of us die, when we let go of parts that no longer serve us. And when we let go of that fear of death of old self, and we can lean into the transformation, lean into the expansion, right? In order to lean in, we need that unshakable trust. So as I've moved through this year, there have been so many times, days, moments, weeks where I've just had to let go, surrender and tap in to that unshakable trust, letting go of the fear and trusting, because trusting is on the other side of fear, having courage to trust. That has guided me so much this year, and trusting that the universe is always supporting us. Trusting that even when bad shit feels like it's happening, trusting that it's for the best of our journey, and it's for our greatest and our highest good. So that has been a big theme this year, because of this integration. And, Grandfather Huachuma really connected me into trusting and that knowing that we are always supported. The universe always has our back, and we can lean in. We can lean into our expansion and our transformation and let go of the fear. So another few big lessons and blessings that came from integration. A big one was just mindfulness and presence and slowing the fuck down. I remember being in the medicine, which I shared in last episode. It really feels like you're living a lifetime in a day. And it slows you down so much. It makes you feel so present, so in the moment. And all too many of us go through our days, thinking about the future, worrying about, what happened in the past, rushing around, and we don't slow the fuck down. And I think it's so important in any moment where you can catch yourself to just come into the now, and be mindful and to be present. I think that's what taps us into understanding how much magic there truly is in every single moment of our experience. So, a way I have been bringing in this lesson into my life is on my morning walks. I always try to take moments to just listen to the birds singing, watch the breeze, moving the trees, maybe do some eye gazing with a coyote or a deer that I encounter, but slowing down and looking at the magic and the beauty all around us. Even slowing down and connecting to your breath can be an amazing way to be more present and be more mindful, as you go through your experience. But the retreat with grandfather, Huachuma, brought that lesson back front and center for me. And it has been one I have been incorporating more and more because it is a great way to let go of the anxiety and to get out of an anxiety swirl. And it really does, I think, give us a deeper level of joy, a deeper level of appreciation in our experience as well. So another lesson and blessing that came in through integration was needing to create space for some newness. So I realized it was, I was reading a book and I don't even remember the name of the book, but it was about letting go of shit pretty much and creating space. And as I was reading this book during integration, I realized how I didn't have any room for anything new to come in. Here I was, prior to retreat, praying for a better relationship, praying for a better living situation, praying for more people to come into my life, but I didn't have any space for any of the newness. And so the book I was reading was called The Less Effect by Samantha Joy. And in there, she talks about as you reduce the amount of stuff in your life, you create space, right, for new stuff to come in. And again, a simple lesson, but a profound one. Because I realized, again, I had no room for anything new to come in. So that was part of what charged me up to, move and to let go of the relationship fully and to get into a new space and to let go a lot of my personal belongings that I didn't even care about anymore. None of them brought me joy, but I needed to create space for new beginnings. And in that transition and over the last few months, in creating the space, it has brought in newness. I have brought in new friendships and new relationships and new tribe members and new experiences because I now have space for that. So if you are feeling stifled in your life as you are listening to this, or you're feeling maybe a little stuck, I would ask yourself if you have space, for newness. And do you need to create space? Because we have to have room for newness to come in. If we want it, and if we desire it. So I will say probably the two last lessons I feel called to share here. One is allowing myself to be soft. I recognize how much I do for my clients, how much I am a giver, and how much I carry. I carry a lot of other people's problems. I am an empath. I am a highly sensitive person. So I carry a lot around with me and I always am the strong one. I'm always the reliable one, the trustworthy one, and I'm always there for my people. And I will continue to be as well. However, I also need to allow myself to be soft, and I need to allow myself to get messy sometimes, and to cry and to ask for support. A lot of this is tied in with being open to receive as well. I can't always be giving, right? At some point, I got to come undone. I got to receive the healing. I got to be soft. I got to be messy. I got to allow support to come to me. Because I saw really during integration how I was constantly just carrying the weight of the world with me, because I was always being the strong and the dependable one, right? The tough one, the survivor. And I think when we are trauma survivors, we do tend to have that, right? We are always on guard. We are always in protection mode. We're always having to be strong because we're trained to be survivors. Right? But we need to be able to open up and be soft, and allow ourselves to come undone, allow ourselves to feel the pain. And that was a big lesson for me during these last few months of opening up to be vulnerable, being soft, sharing where I was at, asking for support, and allowing myself to get a little messy and to have days where I wasn't the strong one. Again, that was uncomfortable, but it was incredibly healing as well. So, one of the last things I will say during this integration, I found a lot of clarity in my purpose. So, that same book I was reading, The Less Effect, by Samantha Joy, she asked a question: what would you die for? What are you willing to die for? And I did a whole journal entry on it, and I'll kind of share the summary of that here for you. And I recognize that I would die for love. I would die for love. Not for, necessarily the love of a partner, or a loving relationship. Specifically, if I could unlock everyone's hearts so they could tap into unconditional self-love and love for one another. And if they could step into this story of interbeing and interconnection and out of this old story of separation, that is what I would absolutely die for. And when I reflected on that during this integration process, it really solidified my mission and my purpose and how much that I do want to help people heal. I want to help them unify, right? And experience this interconnection. And I want people to transform and to ascend and to raise their level of consciousness. Again, what am I willing to die for? I would die for love. And again, awakening everyone's hearts to this knowing, to this deep unconditional love for self and for others. And so it really, again, helped me just step further into the work I do to bring you all, my medicine, and to share my experiences, because I do believe what I do for me, I do for you. And, that clarity in my purpose and asking myself what I would die for, right? That's what keeps me showing up here, keeps me showing up in my business, keeps me working with clients. And also on that, I know in order to continue on this mission and to be in my purpose, it goes back to the first integration lesson I shared with you. I need to be open to receive in order to make that happen. So kind of a beautiful full circle and integration. But honestly, there were so many lessons and blessings from this retreat. And not only did it bring me these aspects of clarity that I just shared with you all, it also really deeply connected me more to my tribe. Sitting in these retreats, you meet so many beautiful, amazing people who are on the path where you can have these more intimate, deeper levels of connection. And that was imperative for me on my journey over these last, several months. And it still is today. Honestly, to have more people in my tribe, more people I can call on, and more people who can call on me too. It's really beautiful to be in these more intimate, connections of eros with my tribe. And I'm really so grateful for this experience, and for having Parker specifically come into my life and to still have his energy and his presence with me, even after he has transitioned to the other side. But I am so grateful to know that my tribe has expanded from this experience. And I hope you all know that as you're listening to these episodes and connecting with me, you're becoming part of the tribe, part of this ascension tribe that I am creating. And, it really was such a beautiful experience. And I'm just so grateful to have more joy, to have more gratitude for my own expansion and expansion, of my awareness and how to best navigate my journey moving forward and how to best share, what I'm learning in my medicine with you, so it can help guide you on your journey. But it really is an honor, to be able to sit with these medicines. And I'm so blessed, so blessed to have sat with Grandfather Huachuma, and really honored and blessed as well to be able to share this experience with you as well. Okay, tribe, let's remember this is all about making the world a more beautiful place. And that begins with you. Because as you better yourself and move through your own healing and transformation journey, you beautify our world. So I hope you found this episode and this 3-part series very helpful. I hope some of the lessons and blessings that have come to me have resonated with you and can really support you on your own healing and transformation journeys as well. As always, if you need support on your journey as you're healing, the anxiety and the trauma and the PTSD, make sure you grab your free clarity call with me. Okay, because I would be so honored to support you and guide you, on your healing and your transformation. But that is a wrap for this 3-part series, my dear tribe. Again, thank you for being on this journey with me. But that is all for today, tribe. Until next time, mwah, much love to you all. Hey, tribe. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button below and then click subscribe so you catch future episodes. And remember, I've got lots of free resources for you to learn about the powers of intentional plant medicine use in order to support your trauma healing and personal transformation journey. So make sure you check them out in the description below and help in making this a more beautiful world for us all. Thanks again for tuning in, tribe. And until next time, much love to you all.